Hello everybody, my name's Bill. This is SixRounds Studio. If you're a regular viewer and you're returning, thank you for being here. If you're new to the channel, I'm glad you're here. Let's talk about what we're doing today. For my regular viewers, you know that I've got two projects that I'm working on in the shop. The first is I'm restoring a early 1900s Stevens favorite 22 rifle. That's in process. I'm also building two guitars. In this video, we're working on getting the laminated top for one of the guitars done. This maple is vintage flooring from an old mill building here in my town that I managed to score a few years back. We've sliced it up and we're making veneer out of it. I'm going to put this veneer on the top. This is going to be a stunning guitar. So let's talk briefly about how we got to this point where we've got these two floorboards sliced up and glued together. I've got the center section of the top over on the shooting board. We talked about the shooting board in one of my earlier videos about the maple, the figured maple top. So it's over here on the shooting board, and I need to now line up these two edges, the center and this new piece that's going to go on the outer edge of that board. I need to get those planed up so that I can join those two. That's this project here. So what I need to do is get the center section clamped to the shooting board. Now with that center section mounted on the shooting board with that edge just slightly hanging over, I'm going to take the edge plane and I'm just going to work this slowly until I've got a nice flat edge. I'm trying not to take a lot off at a time because I do not want to tear the grain. Now I've talked about in earlier videos or different videos how grain has a particular way it likes to be cut, and sometimes if you cut it backwards or the direction it doesn't like, it will tear. So seems to be very happy in this direction. Alright, I have a nice smooth clean edge. Now I've got these all lined out where I believe they fit. Make sure I got the right one here. So this is the next one that's going to go on. So I'm going to remove this section, then I'm going to flip this around and put this down, and then we're going to edge this edge here. So you can see the lines. I've got the lines met up. So and this has to go this way so I can get that edge done. Get that clamped. So we're going to repeat the process. We've got that smaller board mounted in here. We'll do the same thing. Just keep making these small light passes and we're trying to remove the material to get it so that we get a nice blend or a nice match. The wood seems to be happy being cut in this direction, not getting any chipping. So it's really critical that we get that gap to be nearly seamless, because once we put the glue in, once we've squeezed this thing up, the tighter the gap, the more seamless the joint is, so that we don't get to see the glue line. It looks like it's a continuous piece of wood that got cut out of the tree. Now, I've already mentioned that this flooring came out of an old mill building. The mill building was built in the early to mid 1800s. Originally it was a woolen mill, and then eventually it went on to become other things. It was a shoe mill for a while. So this flooring, because it had all the machinery and all the different processes that were mounted on top of the flooring, it actually has oil that has saturated into the wood. Now, I'm not entirely sure what kind of oil, but it could be anything from machine oil to the lanolin from the sheep. It's completely conceivable that the wool would come in and get dumped on the floor, and they would use the bundles of wool to build the fabric that they built. Anyway, this is what I think gives it the beautiful color that it has. That dark, rich color, I think, comes from the fact that oil has saturated into the wood. Anyway, what I need to do is, before I glue this up, I need to make sure that the very edge of this, so 2 or 3 cells into the wood, I need to make sure that I've extracted enough of that oil, so that when I put the glue line in, that the oils won't resist the glue, and the glue can do what it's supposed to do, getting inside those cells. So that's what we're going to do right now. Fairly heavily, we're going to soak those edges, and we'll repeat that process over the next 5 or 10 minutes. Check it to see if there's any oil coming out. When I did this on the center section, it didn't appear to pull a lot of oil out. All right, so let me get this done. Then when we glue it up, I'll bring you back. All right, so we want to get a nice thin layer of glue, or a thin film of glue on both edges. We want to do that on both edges. We don't want it to be too thick, but we want it to be thick enough to get some squeeze out when we're done. So we want to see that glue layered up a little bit. Put this down. Put this down. And then we want to line our lines up that we drew, so that we're getting our book match the way we want it. And obviously the last thing we want to do is bring our clamps up tight. Now the bottom half, or the bottom side of these, have been planed, so I'm trying to use that as my datum, as my base, to get my alignment the way we want it. And we're going out to the very edge, because typically it's the edges, or the ends, not the edges, but the ends, that don't always cooperate when it comes to the alignments as well. And I'm using the rod itself to be the plane or the surface that is equal, because these tops still have to be surfaced and planed. And this is not a perfect process, because all of this, when it's done, I still have to do the final surfacing on both sides before I glue it up to the blank or the plank of wood that is the guitar body. I'm trying to spread the forces as equally down the length of the laminate or the top as I can, because my ultimate goal is to make sure that the entire glue line, as I said earlier, is as seamless as it can be. I don't want you to even know it. I don't want you to see it. What I'm hoping for is that when it's mounted to the top of the guitar, that it looks like it was one piece of wood grown right out of a tree, which is typically what veneering is. All right. Let's see if this will let me lift it without losing it. Got a nice even squeeze out everywhere. Alright guys, so I'm going to let this dry overnight, and then tomorrow when I come back I'll fit up the other side of the guitar, or the other side of the laminate, and I'll get that glued up. The process is going to be the same as you've seen. Nothing is going to be done differently. But what I will do is when I end the video, I'll bring you back and I'll show you the entire laminated top complete. Alright, so don't go away, and I'll show you when it's done. Alright, let's get this unclamped. We have the two top veneers done. We have the fiddleback maple, or the tiger stripe maple, and we have this maple flooring from the old mill, which I'm calling the mill guitar as we move through the process of building these. Now, the last thing that I have to do, I need to cut this down to the same dimension as this one. And when that's done, I'll have them prepped so that I'll be ready then to glue them onto the main blank itself. But the next time we come back, what I want to do, there's a couple little things that I need to do to prep these. I have to take a hand plane and I have to surface both of these so that I've got them as flat and as level as I can. I don't want to use the planer, because the planer will use some cut marks. It'll leave these teeth marks, and I don't want those. I want this to be as flat and true as I can get them. And then I'm going to finish it off with a scraper. Once those two surfaces that I'm going to glue to the main body are done, then I need to do the same thing. I need to surface the blanks themselves, so that when we're done, we've got a nice completely flat, two completely flat surfaces, that when we put the glue on, that glue again has the ability to get down in 1 or 2 cell layers to take up the glue, and then we'll get this nice and flat so that both surfaces have the ability to adhere. Then we're going to put them in the vacuum press, leave them there for most of the day. That way that glue has enough time to set up so that when we pull the vacuum off, the laminates will be completely adhered to the main body planks. That's what's up next. Next time we get back together on the two guitars, that's the project next. So guys, if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got a lot more stuff coming up, both the guns and the guitars. Really appreciate you guys being here. I'll see you in the next video.